Good afternoon or good evening or good morning, depending on what time of day you're watching my video. Welcome to my studio. I'm Alona Funtikova-White, and today I want to show you real quickly how to undo a row. Say for example you're knitting with lace carriage. In my case, I'm talking about Singer SK580. In some countries it's known also as a silver reed, so depending what part of the world you're in. And it has this built-in patterning device with I guess you call them Mylar sheets probably, right? And so here I've been knitting lace pattern, and let's say that my carriage got stuck in the middle. It happens sometimes. It works well, but sometimes for whatever reason, doesn't happen often, but happened to me a couple times, it's stuck in the middle. So let's say I was knitting from left to right and it got stuck in the middle. So I have to undo this part, half of the row that I did, right? And I free the carriage and I move it all the way to the other side, the way it was going. And what do I do now? How do I adjust the card so I don't mess up the patterning? That was a huge mystery to me, because I originally started to learn machine knitting on Brothers, so I kind of thinking from that perspective. And those who knitted on Brothers know that you see what needles are patterning, because the carriage selects them every time, right after you move the carriage. It's not the case, as you all those of you who are familiar with Singer or Silver Reed, you know that it's not the case for these machines at all. They are more mysterious this way. So it took me a while. And also, as you know, the lace carriage for the Silver Reeds or Singers is purchased separately, and for the simple lace it transfers and knits in the same row. So it definitely saves you some time, but if you make friends with it. And I spent 3 full days trying to make friends with it. Anyway, I think, and I reached out to the machine knitting group, the huge group on Facebook, and asked some advice, and I think by following their advice I figured it out. So hopefully this video helps you and saves you a lot of time and frustration. So let's go back to where we started. Oh, and by the way, a few things, right? So first of all, as you're knitting with the lace carriage, make sure that you have good weights. They are even, they're not too heavy but not too light, just right. And unfortunately there is no silver bullet. There's no formula you can use to decide how many weights you need. These weights that come with the lace carriage usually work great, so you can kind of figure it out by their length, right? So for this length, this one weight works perfectly. And also, as you noticed, I have my rebar, I'm sorry, my rebar is installed. Make sure, and they mentioned that in the manual actually, make sure that you move your fabric on top and put it on top of your rebar, right? Not behind it, because otherwise the angle would be too sharp and you will the carriage will be dropping stitches. So like I said, hypothetically, let's say that I got stuck in the middle, so I undid half of that row that I needed. In my case, I actually needed the whole row, and then I undid it. So if you needed just, and in my case, I'm not going to move the stitches. Just as you can see, the stitches were transferred, right? See those stitches? They were transferred. You have the empty needles. So ideally, you will move those stitches back where they belong. I really recommend, especially if you have half of them transferred and half not. However, I don't believe it's gonna make a difference, because those that's already transferred, nothing's gonna happen to those needles, right? Because they already do not have a stitch. And those that weren't transferred, say if you only needed till half, they will be transferred as you're knitting the regular row with your carriage. So let's look at the Mylar sheet. So this is where we are at right now. As you probably know, we are 10 rows in. So if you picture this Mylar sheet and you see this top row, if you count down 10, the 10th row is the row that was red when I was knitting from left to right, and that row would be the next row. So if I were to read normally right now, I would be knitting from right to left. The row that was red, the carriage will be actually knitting that row and loading the next row, right? So in other words, your Mylar sheet is one row ahead. Therefore, when you need to return one row, you actually have to move your Mylar sheet 2 rows back, okay? And you pay attention to that little arrows over there that show you, they show you the direction of the carriage. So I need to move it 2 rows back, so up, right? 1, 2. See? So we're 2 rows up. So now we're ready to read this row. So we're just gonna we're gonna switch this carriage to the inspection mode, right? We switch it to N, and that's the only thing you need to do, right? It's okay for the Mylar sheet to continue going forward because that's what we wanted. So we're just going to read this row by moving the empty carriage from right to left, and then we will thread it and continue knitting as usual. So let's try. Let's see if I can put the yarn away here so it's not in the way. I'm holding my phone with one hand, so it's not very easy for me to do so, so bear with me here for a minute. Okay, I guess I got that. So once again, I switch it to N, so it's not gonna need anything, it's not gonna mess anything up. We just need for the patterning mechanism to read this row, right? Okay, make sure that you go beyond those sensors, right? Now I thread my carriage, and again, I'm not sure I'll be able to do it with one hand to actually thread it properly and knit it. So let's see. Okay, I guess I threaded it. Okay, let me see. I think so. So now let's see if I can knit it with one hand. Normally I knit it with 2 hands. It's threaded. No, it's not threaded. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me thread it and let me knit a few rows, and then I'll come back and show you. Remember where we stopped in the pattern, right? So these middle holes just started, so I'll knit a few rows and come back and I'll show you that there is no skip in the pattern. So here we are. Remember, this is where we were. So after all those manipulations, there's no skip, no pattern mess up, everything works perfectly. Yay! I figured it out, and I hope this video will help those of you who've been struggling to make friends with the lace carriage. By the way, there's another important piece of information. 560L lace carriages work beautifully on 580 Singer. Just FYI, they much cheaper on eBay, at least on American eBay. Happy knitting!